Welcome to UCF's Leaders Up Close and Personal. My name is Tim Kotnour, and today with us is Lesa Rowe, Deputy Associate Administrator for NASA.
Yep.
So Lesa, thank you for joining us today and sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. You've shared your story about leadership, and I know one of your key lessons learned on leadership is having balance, and leaders ought to have balance in their life.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I think that's probably my top lesson of my 4.5 lessons I sometimes talk about. But absolutely, balance is essential for many reasons. It makes you better at your job, but it also obviously makes you have a more fulfilling life. For me, the most important thing I ever will do, I can predict the future, will be certainly my family, and I have 3 kids and a husband, and finding that balance and finding a way to make sure you achieve that is essential. And you do that through your team. You have a team that you count on, a team that you utilize, and you make sure you utilize their best talents. And with that, you're able to actually achieve that balance and take off when you need to, and take the time, go to those games, do the things that you need to. But whether or not you're a family person, like students here at UCF, they need that balance as well, and so they need to find that balance in what they do. And sometimes it's all about how you think of things. That's the way I've achieved balance. What I've realized is instead of thinking of things that I have to go and do something, it's I get to go and do something. Quite frankly, through my career in NASA, I have just the most amazing jobs on the face of the planet. NASA is the most incredible place to work, and with that, it's kind of crazy that you can get into a mode that you think, I have to go to this meeting,
right.
And this meeting is going to land a spacecraft on another planet. So it certainly is I get to, and I'm a pretty lucky person, and that's how your whole attitude can change when you suddenly realize I get to, and of course it's all about attitude.
Right.
That truly will make or break somebody in their career.
So for some of us that aren't NASA leaders, right, are we still able to have that attitude of I get to? I mean, there's a sense of privilege in whatever job we have?
Yeah, no matter what. I mean, just think about even just your balance, right, with the time that you're off, right, with your kids. I get to go to my kids' game. Not I have to go to my kids' game. If I could do anything I wanted in the world, it would be go to my kids' game.
Right.
So obviously it's I get to, and it's just sometimes people get in a mindset where they'll start thinking of things wrong, right?
Yes,
and so it makes all the difference. It's just that positive attitude which creates that whole environment that you really want to have.
Okay, so as a leader, positive attitude, I get to, I have a privilege to lead, I have a privilege to drive the organization forward. How do you live that on a daily basis? So at work, I imagine things stack up, and as you're walking through your meetings and different events, how do you just, I guess, maybe share that aura with folks?
I think it's really about just the way you come into a room. You come into a room curious. You come into a room wanting to know more, asking questions, and asking them in a positive way. I mean, we all know about those questions that have that implied, you idiot at the end of it. So I mean, really questions that you really are curious and you really want to learn. And so all of that, just thinking that way can really change your view of your entire day and your view, and really can change the whole environment for the folks that work in your organization, and so they start to also feel that positive attitude too. It can really change. Just you should try it sometime.
I will.
It'll change things.
So positive attitude and then asking questions. So underlying that, is there what's driving your belief in being positive as well as asking questions?
That's all about continuous learning, keeping learning. That's kind of one of my principles as well. I always say I don't know everything. I don't even know 1% of everything, and I never will. And if you think that your leadership journey is, I'll just finish this up and be done with it, then you really don't know the fundamentals of leadership. You really should continue to question things, continue to learn, and ask questions. And that, by asking questions, the fear of doing anything kind of subsides, because then you start to realize maybe somebody else doesn't understand it either. That's part of it, but maybe they do, and they can help you understand it. And people love to really share what they know with you. You'll find with the teams I've led, it's a lot more important to really engage that team. If you don't, they'll shut down and they'll stop engaging. And so that's a really fundamental thing that's part of my work life.
So Lesa Rowe doesn't need to be the smartest person in the room.
Right, Lesa Rowe is not the smartest person in the room, but Lesa Rowe has the most amazing team, and she pulls on the talents of that team so that we can all accomplish something really great.
Where's your ego? So in this discussion, I'm listening, and so it's positive attitude, it's learning, it's asking questions, it's engaging. So as I look at some leaders that may be the smartest person in the room, huge ego, and where's your ego? Or what role is maybe your ego playing in your leadership style?
I think really the ego is about being self-aware, right? I think everybody probably has some kind of ego, but one of the key, I say, leadership traits that I say people need to have is they need to be self-aware. They need to really look at what part they play in any problem. They need to really start to think of things from the other person's perspective. And so in doing those, you start to check your ego, because then you realize, oh wow, I'm doing something to really contribute to this problem. And so that's really a fundamental as well, is to have self-awareness as a leader, to know which things, to know what your gifts are, but then also what your, I'd say, deficiencies are. You know, I have a few of those myself, and I'm aware of those. And instead of, say, for example, public speaking is not something that I particularly like to do. But with that knowledge, that helps me to make sure that I don't unconsciously turn down opportunities to speak that are really, really important to employees, or to NASA's message, or to working with people, or to working with Congress, or to working with the White House, or whoever I need to work with as part of my job. And so I think that's really important, that people are self-aware. You know, anything, I would say some people might be quick to rush to decisions. That had been one of my issues in the past. And by being self-aware and knowing that's something that I would do, I actually started to learn from others and how they did it very well. I've had some wonderful people that were my mentors that didn't know they were my mentors. And,
really?
And just watching them and watching their style is how I learned to deal with certain traits like that. I have had leaders that I have watched that have really made a decision by making sure they engage everybody in the room for that decision. And then they would make a decision, and I might not necessarily agree with that, but I clearly understood the decision. One of those of my mentors was Bill Gerstenmaier, the head of human spaceflight, and he really knew how to do that and make a really good decision. Now, he didn't know he was my mentor, still doesn't know he's my mentor. Nobody tells him.
He might know now.
But the bottom line is, in being able to watch the way he would make a decision has helped me to learn how to do it better.
Right. So you talk about mentorship, and you said Bill's your mentor, but he probably doesn't know it until now, right? Mm-hmm. So people have a view of, hey, I need to get a mentor, so I need to call him up, I need to have a meeting with him and sign this agreement. Right. It sounds like you have maybe a different view of mentorship. Right.
I have never, no one has ever known they were my mentor. I've never asked anybody to be my mentor. Now, there's not anything wrong, certainly, with someone that may want to approach things that way. But I think the point is, you shouldn't feel like you need to ask somebody and watch them. Quite frankly, by being with people that you can learn from, you can pick up traits that you see. There are, and somebody is not going to have all the traits that you want as a leader. You might like a certain way they do things, but not others. And so you can just take the good and kind of leave the other behind, and that works out just fine. And they don't have to have any awareness. Quite frankly, so I think that sometimes the best way to have mentors is to really just follow the lead of people that you think really do certain things well, and take that on as your own characteristic. Obviously, it's a tried and proven technique, so you should be able to just take that as yours. Right. So you're learning from other folks. You're learning from yourself, right? Reinforce positive, maybe leave some of the not so positive. Right. Right. Yeah. So speaking of positive and attitude, and I get to, you've also shared that, hey, being a leader is about having a story. That's true. Right? And so if someone asked you, which I'm going to ask you, what is Lesa Rowe's story? What is Lesa Rowe's leadership story? Well, Lesa Rowe's story is, I want to make a difference. I think my whole goal is just to try to really make a difference. And whenever I feel that I'm not doing that, it's probably time to move on. But Lisa's story is, don't let anybody tell you can't. And quite frankly, it's your story, and whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And so the bottom line, as long as you believe you can, and you just roll up your sleeves and do it, you're able to do that. So I say, my story is just to believe in yourself and achieve the things you want to achieve, and so that's kind of been my story.
And making a difference.
And make a difference.
Making a difference. And so we shared earlier, I appreciate and thank you for the difference you made for NASA. The difference, your informal mentorship, because you didn't know you did it.
That's right.
Some 19 years ago with me.
That's right.
I appreciate, because that's how I'm here today.
That's right.
And I really appreciate the mentorship you gave to our students today.
Oh, it was delightful. They had wonderful questions. It was just a great group. I expect to see them leading the world at some point. So it was a great group of students, and I learned from them too.
Yeah, we can only hope just to hold on as they go lead.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. Again, thank you very much for joining us.
And thank you for having me.
This has been Leaders Up Close and Personal. Thank you.